Hello and welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Nawreen. In today's bulletin, we will present top and trending news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Fox News parts ways with influential host Tucker Carlson. Biden to unveil new efforts to protect South Korea from nukes. Susan Rice, Biden's top domestic policy advisor, departing. Former US police officer who fatally shot Dante Wright released. Ex-officer who fatally shot Breonna Taylor hired as a deputy. Nine teenagers injured in shooting at prom after party in Texas. Famous Twitter users disavow Musk over verification return. Comedian Richard Lewis reveals he has Parkinson's disease. US asks South Korea not to fill chip shortfalls in China. "60 killed in Burkina Faso by men in army uniform." Russia will not forgive US denial of journalist visas. South Korea restores Japan on trade whitelist. "21 bodies exhumed in Kenya cult investigation." Defenseman Justin Braun retires after playing 13 NHL seasons. "1948 Olympic bronze medalist Herb Douglas dies at 101. And FIFA confirms 4 in 2027 Women's World Cup hosting race. You were listening to headlines, now news in detail. Fox News has abruptly parted ways with influential right-wing commentator Tucker Carlson. The company announced without providing a reason for his departure. The media network thanked Carlson in a statement on Monday, saying that he had already hosted his final show last week. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. "We thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor," the statement said. Mr. Carlson's last program was Friday, April 21. Carlson had been one of the most watched hosts in United States cable news. His show, Tucker Carlson Tonight, will be replaced by an interim program, Fox News Tonight, which will be hosted by rotating Fox News personalities, the company said. One of the few critics of US aid to Ukraine in the mainstream media, Carlson holds views that are emblematic of the right-wing populism championed by former President Donald Trump. The TV host has faced accusations of racism over his anti-immigrant comments and promotion of the so-called Great Replacement theory, which posits that Americans are being replaced through immigration. Carlson has also regularly argued that Democrats are looking to bring new immigrants into the country to help their electoral chances. Fox's announcement comes less than a week after the company reached a $787 million settlement with the election technology firm Dominion Voting Systems. it had accused the news network of defamation for airing claims that its machines were involved in fraud in the 2020 presidential race. President Joe Biden will use this week's celebratory state visit by South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol to underscore that the US is ready to step up its efforts to deter a North Korean attack on South Korea. According to senior administration officials, Biden will announce a specific new nuclear deterrence efforts as well as a new cybersecurity initiative, economic investments, and an educational partnership, part of an effort to highlight the breadth and depth of the two countries' relationship as they mark the 70th anniversary of their alliance, according to two officials who requested anonymity to discuss planning for Yoon's visit. One of the officials said Biden hopes to put a particular emphasis on the United States' ironclad commitment to deterring nuclear action by North Korea as Pyongyang has stepped up ballistic missile tests, including flight testing a solid fuel intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time earlier this month. The recent test is seen as a possible breakthrough in the North's efforts to acquire a more powerful, harder to detect weapon targeting the continental United States. The officials didn't offer details on the new deterrence efforts but said that the US is looking to send a clear message to Pyongyang about its increasingly aggressive rhetoric. President Joe Biden said Monday that his top domestic policy advisor, Susan Rice, will leave her post next month as director of the White House Domestic Policy Council. Rice had broad sway on the administration's approach to health care, immigration, and racial inequality. It was a surprising shift for Rice, a longtime Democratic foreign policy expert who served as President Barack Obama's national security advisor and UN ambassador, the only person to serve in both positions. She worked closely with then Vice President Biden in those roles and was on his short list to become his running mate during the 2020 campaign. After more than 2 years of her steady leadership of the Domestic Policy Council, it's clear there is no one more capable and more determined to get important things done for the American people than Susan Rice, Biden said in a statement announcing her departure. Rice went into the job a flashpoint for Republican attacks dating back to the Obama years. In her wide-ranging tenure at the helm of Biden's domestic agenda, she helped oversee a flurry of executive and legislative action, including on healthcare, policing, gun safety, racial equity, and the massive $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Kim Potter, the United States police officer who mistook her gun for a taser and killed Daunte Wright in 2021, has been released from prison. The Minnesota Department of Corrections said Potter was set free around 4 a.m. local time on Monday, the unannounced timing chosen out of an abundance of caution. The department confirmed Friday she would be released Monday but declined to say what time due to security concerns. Potter, a white officer for the Brooklyn Center Police Department in suburban Minneapolis, fatally shot Wright, who was black, during a traffic stop in April 2021. The shooting happened during the trial of Derek Chauvin, the Minneapolis officer who killed George Floyd, and Wright's death set off several days of protest. Potter was released from the Minnesota Correctional Facility, Shakopee, and will be on supervised release until December 21st, when her 2-year term sentence for manslaughter expires. Corrections spokesman Andy Skookman said in a news release that Potter will live in Wisconsin during the supervised release. Minnesota law requires those sent to prison to serve 2/3 of their sentence behind bars and the remaining time on supervised release, Skookman said. In Potter's case, she served 16 months of her 2-year sentence. The term of imprisonment is set by law. There is no parole board and no time off for good behavior, Skookman said. A Louisville police officer who fired the fatal shot that killed Breonna Taylor has a new job in law enforcement in a county northeast of the city. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office on Saturday confirmed the hiring of Miles Cosgrove, who was fired from the Louisville Metro Police Department in January 2021 for violating use of force procedures and failing to use a body camera during the raid on Taylor's apartment, WHAS-TV reported. About a dozen people showed up in downtown Carrollton Monday morning to protest his hiring, holding signs and chanting, "Cosgrove has got to go." "I think he should be in jail," said Hallie Wilson, a 24-year-old resident of the small Kentucky town near the Ohio River. Investigators said the Cosgrove fired 16 rounds into the apartment after Taylor's front door was breached during a narcotics raid on March 13, 2020. Thinking an intruder was breaking in, Taylor's boyfriend fired a shot from a handgun at the officers. Officer Jonathan Mattingly was struck in the leg, and the officers returned fire, killing Taylor in her hallway. Gunfire at a huge prom after-party at a home in Texas injured 9 teenagers, and a second shooting in a nearby city is being investigated for a possible connection, officials said. Sheriff's deputies in Jasper County in East Texas arrived in the wee hours of Sunday at a home where about 250 people were partying, authorities said. They found 9 victims with gunshot wounds that didn't appear to be life-threatening, according to a statement by the Jasper County Sheriff's Office. 8 people were taken in personal vehicles to Jasper Memorial Hospital, and at least one of them was transferred to a hospital in nearby Beaumont. Jasper County Sheriff's Office spokesperson Curly Cherry said. "One person did not go to the hospital," she said. A second shooting within the city of Jasper occurred shortly after the first, the statement said. There were no injuries in the second shooting, but a connection is being investigated because of a common vehicle at both locations, the statement said. According to the statement, people of interest are being questioned, and the investigation is ongoing. Celebrities and other high-profile Twitter users are once again being verified by the social media platform, and they don't know why the blue check marks reappeared, nor do they seem too happy about it. Twitter removed the blue marks last week from accounts that don't pay a monthly fee, but the check marks mysteriously returned for many highly followed accounts over the weekend, leading some prominent users to disavow what's become a divisive symbol of Twitter owner Elon Musk's erratic changes to the platform. Accounts belonging to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Bette Midler, gymnast Simone Biles Vance, writer Neil Gaiman, and rapper Lil Nas X were among the users, all with more than 1 million followers, who took to Twitter to make clear they didn't pay to get their blue check back. Twitter had roughly 400,000 verified users under the original blue check system, including Hollywood actors and star athletes, but also journalists, human rights activists, and public agencies. In the past, the checks meant that Twitter had verified that users were who they said they were, as a method to prevent impersonation and the spread of misinformation. But now anyone can buy a Twitter Blue subscription starting at $8 a month. It no longer means the user is verified, other than confirming a phone number, but promises a number of features, including the ability to have more people see their tweets. Comedian Richard Lewis is retiring from stand-up following 4 surgeries and a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. The 75-year-old Curb Your Enthusiasm star, who is known for wearing all black and exploring his neuroses on stage, posted a video Monday to Twitter explaining his various health issues. "For the last 3.5 years, I have had sort of a rocky time," he said, adding that he has suffered with back pain and he had shoulder and hip replacement surgeries. He also got a brain scan because he was shuffling his feet when he walked. Doctors diagnosed him with Parkinson's. "Luckily, I got it late in life, and they say you progress very slowly if at all, and I am on the right meds, so I am cool," he said. "I'm finished with stand-up. I'm just focusing on writing and acting." Lewis' biggest screen credits include Robin Hood, Men in Tights, Leaving Las Vegas, and Vamps, and TV appearances on everything from Seventh Heaven to George Lopez and BoJack Horseman to Dr. Katz, professional therapist. The United States has asked South Korea to urge its chipmakers not to fill any market gap in China if Beijing bans memory chipmaker Microtechnology from selling chips, the Financial Times has reported. The news comes ahead of South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol's visit to the US on Monday for a summit with President Joe Biden. Yoon's April 24-29 trip will be the first state visit to the US by a South Korean leader since 2011 and will mark the 70th anniversary of the country's alliance. Washington asked Seoul to encourage Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix to hold back from boosting sales to China if micro is banned as a result of an investigation by Beijing, the FT reported on Sunday, citing people familiar with the situation. China's cyberspace regulator in March said it would conduct a security review of Micro's products sold in the country. The chipmaker said last month it was cooperating with the Chinese government and its operations in the country were normal. The White House did not comment on the FT report but added that the Biden and Yoon administrations have made efforts to coordinate investments in the semiconductor sector, secure critical technologies, and address economic coercion. Now it's time for global updates. About 60 civilians were killed in a village in northern Burkina Faso by men wearing military uniforms, the local prosecutor said late Sunday, announcing an investigation into the latest bloodshed in the insurgency-hit country. Landlocked and in the heart of West Africa's Sahel, the country is one of the world's most volatile and impoverished. Attacks blamed on suspected jihadists are on the rise in Burkina Faso, which is battling an insurgency that spilled over from neighboring Mali. About 60 people were killed by people wearing the uniforms of our national armed forces on Thursday in the village of Kerma in northern Yatenga province. Wahigoa High Court prosecutor Lemin Kabur told AFP in a statement, citing the gendarmerie. The wounded have been evacuated and are currently being taken care of within our health facilities, he said, adding that the perpetrators had taken various goods. The village of Kerma is near the Malian border and attracts many illegal gold miners. According to residents contacted by AFP, survivors said more than 100 people on motorbikes and pickup trucks raided the village. Dozens of men and young people were killed by the men dressed in military uniforms, they said. Survivors gave a toll of around 80 dead. Russia said Sunday that the United States has denied visas to journalists who wanted to cover Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's trip to New York, and Lavrov suggested that Moscow would take strong retaliatory measures. There was no immediate comment from the US State Department about the claim of refused visas. The journalist aimed to cover Lavrov's appearance at the United Nations to mark Russia's chairmanship of the Security Council, a country that calls itself the strongest, smartest, free and fair country, has chickened out and done something stupid by showing what its own assurances about protecting freedom of speech and access to information are really old, Lavrov said before leaving Moscow on Sunday. Be sure that we will not forget and will not forgive, he said. I emphasize that we will find ways to respond to this so that the Americans will remember for a long time not to do this, Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov said. The dispute comes in the wake of high tensions with Washington over the arrest last month of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, whom Russia accuses of espionage. The United States has declared him to be wrongfully detained. South Korea formally restored Japan to its list of countries it gives preferential treatment in trade on Monday, 3 years after the neighbors downgraded each other's trade status amid a diplomatic row fueled by historical grievances. In announcing the move through a government gazette, South Korea's Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy also said Seoul will further restrict technology and industrial exports to Russia and its ally Belarus to support the US-led pressure campaign against Moscow over the war in Ukraine. After years of friction, Seoul and Tokyo were working to repair relations as they tightened their three-way security cooperation with Washington to counter the threat posed by North Korea. Pyongyang has used the distractions caused by the war to accelerate testing of nuclear-capable missiles. South Korean officials expect Tokyo to restore Seoul as a favored trade partner too, but expect that step to take more time based on the procedures to revise Japan's export regulations. 21 bodies have been exhumed in Kenya while investigating a cult whose followers are believed to have starved themselves to death, police sources said Saturday, warning the toll could rise. Officials had earlier reported 7 deaths in eastern Kenya in connection with the arrest of Mackenzie Ndenge, a pastor who reportedly told followers to starve themselves in order to meet Jesus. In total, since yesterday, we have 21 bodies, a police source told AFP on condition of anonymity, referring to exhumations in the Shakahola forest outside the coastal town of Malindi. We have not even scratched the surface, which gives a clear indication that we are likely to get more bodies by the end of this exercise, the source added. Another police source confirmed the same toll, also on condition of anonymity. At least 3 children were among the victims, said one of the sources. Now it's time for business news. Today's New York stock close price is 15,606.71. The NYSE composite is increased by 27.78 points or 0.18%. Tokyo stock close price is 28,593.52. The Nikkei 225 index is increased by 29.15 points or 0.10%. Shanghai stock close price is 3,275.413. The Shanghai Composite Index is decreased by 25.84 points or 0.78%. Hong Kong stock close price is 19,959.94. The Hang Seng Index is decreased by 115.79 points or 0.58%. Bombay stock close price is 60,056.10. The Sensex index is increased by 401.04 points or 0.67%. Let's have a look on today's sports stories. Defenseman Justin Braun has decided to retire at age 36 after 13 NHL seasons. The NHL Alumni Association announced Braun's retirement Monday, a week and a half after he played in Philadelphia's season finale. Braun skated in 961 regular season and playoff games with the San Jose Sharks, Flyers, and New York Rangers. He was a key player for the Sharks when they reached the Stanley Cup final in 2016. Playing in all 24 games of their run and averaging more than 21 minutes of ice time. Braun also helped the Rangers make the Eastern Conference final last year after they acquired him at the trade deadline from Philadelphia. He returned to the Flyers on a one-year deal, serving as mentor to many of the team's younger players. The Minnesota native was a 7th-round pick of San Jose's in 2007. He made his NHL debut in 2010 and finished with 199 career points during the regular season and 16 more in the playoffs. Herb Douglas, who turned a chance encounter with J.C. Vance as a teenager into fuel to win a bronze medal in the long jump at the 1948 Olympics, has died. He was 101. The University of Pittsburgh, where Douglas starred on the football and track teams before later serving in various roles for his alma mater, said Douglas died Saturday. Douglas eventually enrolled at Pitt in 1945, becoming one of the first African Americans to play football for the Panthers while also starring on the track team. He won 4 intercollegiate championships in the long jump and another in the 100-yard dash at Pitt and 3 AAU titles in the long jump. He earned a spot on the 1948 U.S. Olympic team after finishing runner-up to Willie Steele at the Olympic trials. Douglas' leap of 24 feet 9 inches at the 1948 Olympics in London carried him to bronze behind gold medalist Steele and silver medalist Thomas Bruce of Australia. 4 contenders are competing to host the 2027 Women's World Cup, FIFA confirmed on Monday, days after the joint United States-Mexico bid entered the race. Brazil, South Africa and the European project teaming Belgium, Germany and the Netherlands were previously announced as intended candidates trying to win a vote scheduled for May next year. All 4 projects come from countries with a strong football tradition, FIFA Secretary General Fatma Samora said in a statement. Germany, South Africa and Brazil hosted 3 straight editions of the Men's World Cup from 2006 to 2014, and the 2026 Men's edition will be played in the US, Mexico and Canada. The potential host met a first FIFA deadline last week and must sign a bidding agreement by May 19. FIFA wants the official bid plan documents by December 8. At least one of the 4 should be left off the official ballot paper. Let's have a look on today's weather forecast. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest update. Millennium TV USA and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment programs. Thank you.